In a shifting global dynamic, a group of bold African leaders are standing their ground, determined to steer their countries away from the weight of Western influence. Unfazed by the face of external pressure, they confront global double standards head-on, with their confident voices spreading across the European continent. These leaders are unapologetically asserting their sovereignty and reshaping the image of African leaders on the world stage. With fearless resolve, they explore the world of international diplomacy, inspiring a new generation and challenging the status quo, all while offering a fresh vision for Africa's future. Uhuru Kenyatta. In this speech, Uhuru Kenyatta emphasizes the importance of candid discussions about shared values between Kenya and the United States, such as democracy, entrepreneurship, and family. However, they acknowledge significant cultural differences, particularly regarding gay rights, which they consider a non-issue for Kenyans at this time. Instead, the focus should be on pressing concerns that affect daily life, such as health, women's inclusivity in economic development, infrastructure, education, and entrepreneurship. The speaker suggests that once these fundamental challenges are addressed, Kenya may be able to explore other issues, but currently, gay rights do not occupy a priority in the minds of the Kenyan people.
The fact of the matter is that Kenya and the United States, we share so many values. Our common love for democracy, entrepreneurship, value for families. These are things that we share. But there are some things that we must admit we don't share. Our culture, our societies don't accept. It's very difficult for us to be able to impose on people that which they themselves do not accept. This is why I repeatedly say that for Kenyans today, the issue of gay rights is really a non-issue. We want to focus on other areas that are day-to-day living for our people. The health issues that we have discussed with President Obama, these are critical. Issues of ensuring inclusivity and of women, a huge section of society that is normally left out of the mainstream of economic development. What we can do in terms of infrastructure, what we can do in terms of education, in terms of our roads, in terms of giving our people power, encouraging entrepreneurship. These are the key focuses. Maybe once, like you have, overcome some of these challenges, we can begin to look at new ones. But as of now, the fact remains that this issue is not really an issue that is on the foremost mind of Kenyans, and that is the fact.
Paul Kagame. President Paul Kagame emphasized the need for African leaders to take responsibility for their failures in addressing pressing issues like terrorism and internal conflicts, citing Boko Haram as a prime example. He criticized leaders for waiting to be invited to international forums to discuss these problems instead of proactively collaborating to find solutions within Africa. Kagame pointed out that this behavior projects a negative image of Africa, suggesting that leaders are more interested in photo opportunities than genuine problem-solving. He highlighted the situation in South Sudan, where internal strife followed independence, as indicative of a failure to address root causes by local leaders. Kagame urged for greater accountability and collaboration among African nations to tackle these challenges without external prompting, stressing that the innocent populations, particularly women and children, suffer the most from such conflicts.
When it comes to Africa, I'm sure many people in this audience will have made the same observations. I think we must take responsibility and accept our failures in dealing with these matters. For example, relating to what President Obasanjo has just said, on the case of Boko Haram, or you can use that for many other cases. For me, when I'm watching on television, and I find our leaders who should have been working together all along to address these problems that commonly affect their countries, wait until they are invited to go to Europe to sit there and just... I mean, I don't know, 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 I mean, It's like they are made to sit down and address their problems. Why does anybody wait for that? What image does it even give about us, about Africa? In fact, the image it gives is that we are not there to even address these problems. We are there for a photo opportunity. We are happy to sit there in Paris with the president of France and address and just talk about addressing problems.
Jerry Rawlings. This amazing speech of Jerry Rawlings emphasizes the importance of empowering the people in his speech, advocating for a democracy that respects and involves citizens. He argues that true democracy cannot flourish if power is centralized in the hands of a few. Instead, it should be shared with the populace. Rawlings highlights the need for education and open communication, suggesting that when people are informed and engaged, they will support their leaders rather than blame them for failures. He critiques the colonial legacy of using the English language to intimidate and marginalize native wisdom, urging leaders to connect with their communities in meaningful ways. Ultimately, Rawlings calls for a participatory approach to governance that values the voices and knowledge of all citizens, regardless of their educational background.
Chief, if you could speak the language of my people who have not even been to school and try to listen to their wisdom, you'll be impressed. You know, democracy can only take root if we show the appropriate respect to the people, put confidence in our people, and not only that, but the most important thing is to empower the people, not take their power. Too often, in some parts of the world, we remove the power of the people into ourselves. I want to repeat it. I've said it and I'm saying it again. We must learn to empower people. And you know something? The important thing is that when you take education seriously, conscientization, and you share information, you don't mystify, you demystify, you share information with your people. When you go wrong, they will never blame you because they were part of it. But when you disempower them and you have to dictate to them all the time what, this, etc., etc., when you go wrong, they blame you all the time. You understand what I'm saying? And yet, if democracy has any value, besides, we're going through trying times. There is no reason to leave out your people. My citizens cannot speak Italian. If you want to communicate with my people in Italian, you might think you're stupid. Chief, if you could speak the language of my people who have not even been to school and try to listen to their wisdom, you'll be impressed. But you see, you've got to understand the complication, the extent to which the English colonial language has been used to intimidate our people so that their native wisdom through their own language, the best of them cannot come out. Because the English language is the language by which you're used to judge whether you're intelligent or not. You get me?
Robert Mugabe. In his speech, Robert Mugabe emphasized the importance of African unity and the struggle against colonialism, asserting that all Africans should feel at home in each other's countries. He criticized the lack of equality in the United Nations Security Council, calling for genuine representation for African nations. Mugabe expressed frustration with external pressures, suggesting that long-standing leaders should step aside for new parties, questioning the authenticity of such claims to democracy. He reflected on his experiences visiting various African nations and highlighted the need to empower the youth, ensuring they are educated and aware of their history.
Wanting the Africans who were still under the burden of colonialism to be free. And that is why I have great respect for all of us. To me, you come to my country, it's your country. I go to your country, it's also my country. You can't chase me. You can't chase me and I can't chase you. That's it, the African spirit. We had to fight for it also. You had to starve for it, to sacrifice for it. And now you get some people still saying, because we are white and you're black, we can't give you the honor of equality in the Security Council. Nonsense. That should stop. Mr. Bakimun, just tell them for the last time, just as a message that you have heard for the last time from here, that there should be real equality in the Security Council. We can't just be coming to the General Assembly to make empty, hollow speeches and go back home. Nobody takes care of all the concerns we express. No. And anyway, the headquarters is actually of the United Nations is misplaced. Where do you have most of the people? You have 1.2 million people in India. 1.3 in China, and Africa, we are getting to nearly 1 billion also. Now put us together, just these three, and then put those with the white faces and pink noses, put them together as against us. How many are they, even man to a man? And do we allow that group should continue to harass us even in our independent countries? Regime change, Mugabe should not be there, we want someone else. The creator was telling me the other day that he had been told that, oh no, your party, Chama cha Mapinduzi, had been in power for too long. You must now allow another party also to take over. Is that democracy? And that was coming from Europe. Tell them to shut their mouths.
Julius Malema. And lastly, Julius Malema, the leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters (EFF) party in South Africa, delivered a rousing speech emphasizing the unity of African people across borders. He stressed that countries like Zimbabwe, Mozambique, DRC, and Rwanda are all part of the same home, and that the problems of one African nation are the problems of all. Malema called for respect for democracy, human rights, and the freedom of people in countries like Western Sahara, Palestine, and Cuba. He condemned xenophobia and self-hate among Africans, urging them to see themselves in their fellow Africans. Malema declared that the resources of Africa must benefit the African people, not outside interests. He encouraged a peaceful election campaign, saying the EFF will win through superior logic and a powerful crossover of voters, not violence. Malema exhorted his supporters to work tirelessly to spread the EFF's message and solutions, painting the country red with their presence and determination.
Zimbabwe, it's our home. Let's call Zimbabwe. We are one thing. Mozambique, it's our home. DRC, it's our home. Botswana, it's our home. We were divided by the Boers who imposed borders on us. We never said we want borders. These borders were imposed on us by the colonizers. We are one people. The problems of Zimbabwe are our problems. We must help to solve the problem of Zimbabwe. We call upon Mnangagwa to respect democracy.
Democracy is not elections, but human rights. Why do you beat people who are toy-toying? Why do you shut down the internet and social media? Because you disagree with the people. We don't want that type of government in Zimbabwe. We are praying that the people of DRC must find a permanent solution for DRC. We want the people of Western Sahara to get their land back. We want the people of Palestine to get their freedom from apartheid Israel, which stole the land of the Palestinians. We want the freedom of the people of Cuba, because the people of Cuba, they've done so much for us as the people of South Africa.